What is up, everybody? I hope you are all having an amazing Wednesday. We basically just launched something super exciting yesterday. So if you haven't checked the Facebook post on that, then make sure you check it out. It's in this Facebook group. But today, what we're actually going to go through is the behind the scenes marketing system that has generated my client and I, well, basically over $1 million in revenue. All right. So this here is what we're going to go through. I'm going to run you guys through our Evergreen organic launch and A to Z, exactly how that works, how that's different from everything else that you probably have tried when it comes to growing your business. So here's basically what we're going to go through. Okay, we're going to go through why outbound messaging, cold DMs should actually only make up a really small percentage of your lead generation, and what you really want to focus on instead if you want to capture the 80-70% of your market who currently is not even responding to things like outbound lead gen. Now, just to give you guys a bit of context that this actually works, I want to show you guys a bit about the kind of results that our clients have gotten. So in the first picture here, we actually have one of our clients who has generated 5,500. This is without cold messaging. All right. And that's only 15 days in from the day that he started. And the second picture here is, once again, as you can see, we've got another client who's generated 6K in the first 2 weeks. This is with the methods that I'm about to show you. So what I'm sharing, it actually works, and it's been proven across a number of different clients, and it's different. That's the most important thing. So let's get into it. And let's start with the traditional methods that we see most people doing. And just to give you guys more context as well, around 50% of the clients that we work with are people who have gone through other, I don't want to say similar, but other forms of coaching or mentorship. And these tend to be the main tactics that we see them do when they come in. And it's three things, right? The first is posting content consistently over, like a piece of content a day, trying to give value or educate your audience, right? The reason why, I don't want to say that doesn't work. However, it's kind of time consuming, it's time expensive, and most people don't really have a proper system apart from just post consistently and give value and share tricks on how to lose weight, right? So the second thing is adding people in Facebook groups. And, I'm still a strong believer that that's what you should do when it comes to building your audience. But the main problem is most people don't have a proper strategy besides going into Facebook groups that are entrepreneurs or like fitness related Facebook groups. And what you find is that 9 out of 10 people in those groups are broke, first of all, or they are just people who are trying to sell you their product, which once again doesn't really work. So there's definitely a right and wrong way to go about this, which I'll show you guys in a second. But the third thing here is relying on outbound messaging. And let me preface this by saying that outbound messaging definitely works. I don't want to say it doesn't work, which, if I say it doesn't work, I don't mean that literally. It definitely works. And as you guys know, there have been tons of people who have built a really successful business off outbound messaging. But a big reason is that it's not necessarily scalable. It's time consuming, right? And a lot of people who have success with this method are people who have already built up some sort of brand presence or following, which a lot of people who are watching this probably aren't celebrities or influencers within their niche already. So think of it this way. If Beyonce messaged you tomorrow, even if it was like cold outbound message and it wasn't very well crafted together, you'd probably respond and maybe even considering buying her thing because it's Beyonce. Whereas if some random person with 100 followers you've never heard of before outbound messages you, then you're probably going to either ignore them or maybe even send a message back saying like, hey, I don't want this, stop trying to sell me, because they don't have that positioning, right? That celebrity positioning. And that's kind of the big differentiating factor I see between people who this is successful for versus people who don't see success, is the way they position themselves and their personal brand online, which I'll get into in a second. So the best way for me to explain this whole concept is if you imagine that you were creating a marketing campaign for Ferrari. And if we think about the nature of, Ferrari as a car, right? You might only get 10% of people wanting to buy it because it's safe, whereas 90% of the majority of people who would actually buy it is because it's cool, right? And it's like cool to drive. So then what happens if you only market Ferrari with the marketing campaign of saying that you should buy it from me because it's safe, or you should buy this Ferrari because it's safe? Is that it's only going to capture 10% of people, right? And you're losing out on 90% of people that you could actually convert into buyers if you market it from the angle of, hey, buy from us because it's cool. And it's the exact same with your current or with most organic marketing methods these days. Is I'm not saying cold messaging doesn't work, but it only actually captures 10% of what we call responders to that method, which means that if you want to be able to capture the other 90% of your audience or your following, then you're going to need other methods that they respond to, right? So in simple words, if you are purely relying or mostly relying on outbound messaging and posting consistently, then you're only really capturing 10% of your current people in your followers or your audience. And we see this time and time again, right? So we actually have the data to back it up. That's why a lot of clients who come in will make anywhere from, say, 1,500 to 4,500 within the first 7 days just by using methods outside of outbound messaging. And so besides the fact that it only actually captures maybe 10% or 20% of responders, what I like to call responders, the other main issue is that while you can make money today, the model is linear. And what I mean by that is if you are currently at, say, 5K a month, right? So if you are currently at 5K a month and you are spending 8 hours a day on your business between client fulfillment and messaging people and sales calls, then if we purely work off that linear model, then you're going to actually need to spend 16 hours a day to hit 10K a month, which doesn't really make sense, right? Because we all came into this business for freedom, and working 16-hour days isn't really most people's ideas of freedom, which means that something's got to change. And the lever that you can pull here is transitioning from, what we call one-dimensional marketing, which is just, relying on one method of outbound lead generation, to creating an actual marketing ecosystem, which ultimately is not just about making sales today, but also what are you going to do 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line. So enter exactly what I teach my clients, and I'm going to show you guys here. All right. So with the Evergreen organic launch, this is how it works. This is what we show our clients. And there are around, 4 to 5 steps to this that all ties it in together. Now, step number 1 is building your audience with the right people. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but it's like, you go in a bunch of Facebook groups and you join like, hey, fitness groups or entrepreneur groups or like, flexible dieting. And most people want to target entrepreneurs or busy professionals. So then they join a bunch of entrepreneur groups, female entrepreneurs, fempreneurs, mompreneurs, 6-figure entrepreneurs, every single thing to do with entrepreneurship. And then the next thing you know, you've just added a bunch of people who are broke and living in countries where the cost of living is so low that they wouldn't really be able to ever afford your high ticket coaching. Or people who just want free stuff and are just general bad quality leads that, you can kind of tell they're bad quality, or a bunch of other entrepreneurs who don't really fit into your definition of being a financially qualified entrepreneur, and they're just kind of all there to sell each other. So the quick tip that I can tell you right now is that the best groups to actually find people in are not going to be Facebook groups that are fitness related or entrepreneur groups. They're actually going to be groups that are completely unrelated to that. So for example, think about what are some high-level corporate positions or jobs or line of work, and then look at the corresponding organizations for those sorts of jobs, right? So we all know that NASM is the organization that corresponds to personal trainer. And then you want to think about, say, take lawyers, right? What is the organization that might correspond to a bunch of lawyers? So that's just one example. But the first, in order for this to work, is you need to start building your audience with the right people and do it the right way without getting banned from Facebook. So the second thing for this to all work is you need a high ticket offer in place. And I'm talking about anywhere from $1,000 minimum, which is what we typically get or want our clients to charge when they come in, even if they don't necessarily have loads of followers or experience or testimonials. Because look at it this way, if you have an offer that is even just $1,000 and you just sell 5 people, right? That's $5,000 in revenue per launch. And then if you do this 4 times a year, right? Once a quarter, then that's an additional 20,000 on your bottom line, not including the other lead generation tactics that you use between launch cycles. So the second thing that you really need in place is a high ticket offer, right? And when I say offer, just another thing I want to clarify is an offer doesn't mean your deliverables, right? It doesn't mean what you like physically give your clients. It means the way you position what you do to your audience in a way that actually communicates your value and makes people actually want to pay more. So the third element to this is the launch phase. And this is where it gets exciting. All right, so the whole launch is all about, or how it works is through anywhere between or around 7 Facebook and Instagram posts. And these posts are actually written with marketing or psychology frameworks within those posts that all serve the purpose to influence people at a subconscious level, so that by the time they go through all 7 posts, they are in this position where they are primed to buy and they have no objections and they know it's an investment and they're ready to go for it. Which is an amazing thing about launches, is that most people are pre-sold by the time they get on the phone with you, which means that the actual sales call, from what we see a lot of the time, is like 10 minutes long, right? Or can be 10 minutes long. So the first element to that is having 7, really special or specific or carefully crafted social media posts, which for our clients, they actually get the templates that they just tweak because there's no way they can mess it up, right? But then the second element to that is the timing in which these posts are dripped out. So the typical launch goes over 10 to 14 days, and it's strategically timed, or like they're drip fed out at specific times so that like it all works together. So that's the actual sexy part of it. And then the fourth part is to sell. And like I said, the cool part of this is that most people are already pre-sold at this stage because you've done such a good job at selling them on the front end that they're going to get on the call with you, knowing it's investment, knowing that it's an offer, and knowing that you actually have something to sell them. So that's a selling stage, which if you even just sell 5 people $1,000 per package, then that's 5K, right, in revenue. So then the fifth element of that is the refractory period, which is the post-launch phase. Now, the biggest downfall to an actual launch style business model is the fact that people tend to generate a lot of money for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then they generate no money for the next 2 months until they launch again. So this is what I call the refractory period in terms of what actually happens after you launch and how do you continue to generate money and get clients between the 4 launch cycles that you have. So the first is what I teach my clients is a system, or not a system, but a process that we called organic stacking. And even like the reason why I refer to this whole thing as Evergreen Organic Launch, it's not really just a launch, it's a marketing system that it fits into over a 12-month time frame. And so what we do is we stack the organic launch on top of other methods of generating leads that happen on an evergreen basis, right? So you technically have almost like 3 to 4 different layers in terms of lead generation, as opposed to just relying on one layer, which is outbound messaging. And when I say 3 to 4 layers or 3 to 4 streams of lead flow, this is what I mean. You guys know, like in powerlifting or like normal training athlete programming, you have your microcycles, your mesocycles, and your macrocycles. You guys will get this because, you know, we're all fit pros here, but you want the same concept when it comes to lead generation, is you want to periodize your lead generation. So most people are just relying on what we call like microcycles of lead gen, which is doing the same thing every day, you know, message 100 people a day, message 100 people a day, and there's nothing more to it. But what we want to do instead is you want your daily, or what you'll have is your daily lead generation, which is what most people are doing, which is outbound, right? Which, like I said, still works. It just shouldn't be the main thing you rely on. The second thing is you have the bi-weekly or the monthly lead generation. So this is going to be special posts that you post to generate leads every week or every other week that you can rotate around. And if you ever come in to work with me one-on-one, or you're a client, then you'll know that we have almost like a goodie bag of 8 to 10 different tactics that you can just rotate around every time you want to book sales calls. So what this does is these inbound lead generation tactics capture the people who don't respond to outbound DMs. So you guys know how earlier on, I said here, like 10% of people will probably only respond to outbound lead generation, and 90% of people are going to respond to other angles of marketing. It's kind of the same concept here, is that you'll have 10% of people who maybe respond to your daily lead generation, which might be outbound messaging and just, you know, friend requesting people. And then you've got another percentage of your market who won't respond to daily lead gen, but they will respond to other methods of inbound lead generation, which is where they come into you. And these are executed every, you know, 2 to 4 weeks. And then to stack the third thing on top of that, you've also got the quarterly lead generation, which is the Evergreen organic launch, right? And this captures the people who aren't responders to daily and bi-weekly. And like one, like I guess you can say drawback to this is that it is a bit more time, it is a bit more intense to actually launch. But the positive is that, and that's why you only do it once every quarter, because you need that refractory period, like I spoke about, where you rebuild your audience. But the positive is that you get a large influx of cash and clients all at once. So then we've got what you're doing month to month on a daily basis to get clients. And then we've got what you're doing once a quarter, which is the launch, to generate clients as well. And then what happens is, if you land 10 clients today from the launch, then in 3 months down the line, you can resell those clients on a monthly or recurring or some sort of back-end offer. So then what you also have is, after 3 months, if you resell or if you re-sign 30% of clients at $500 recurring monthly revenue, then you already have a $1,500 base of monthly recurring revenue from your clients. And then in addition to that, you also have, well, like paid advertising, so Facebook ads, and also follow-up strategies to try to resell the clients who didn't sign from your previous launch and who didn't respond to maybe, like, you know, your cold messaging or you lost on sales calls previously. So follow-up strategies are super important as well. Just a quick note, don't neglect follow-ups. So let's do the quick math here. From your launch, right? And this is kind of how our clients' business models work. From your launch, if you sign 10 people, say tomorrow at $1,500, then technically you're going to generate 15,000 from one launch cycle. Yeah, so then if you graduate 30% of those people on a back-end offer, then you're going to graduate 3 people who pay you $500 a month, which means that 3 months down the line, you would technically already have a $1,500 recurring base after 3 months. And this is on top of the sales that you make on a weekly or a monthly basis when you're not doing a launch, right? So the launch is almost like a bonus on top of the main course, right? So let me know if that makes sense. I'm going to quickly check the comments here. Okay, no comments and no one's watching this. All good, guys. But just a quick summary is most people are purely relying on outbound messaging, and outbound messaging doesn't actually capture a large percentage of people, right? So if you want to be able to scale past what you're currently doing, whether it's 1K, 2K, 3K, and you don't have the celebrity positioning that a lot of other people who are successful purely relying on outbound messaging has, then you're going to need other methods, which is what I've shown you guys, so you can capture the other, 70, 80% of your market. So then what do you do next? Right now, if you actually want our help implementing this into your business, then listen up. So next Monday, I'm going to be working with 5 people, and I'm going to be working with 5 coaches on a one-on-one basis to help them implement this entire system into your business. And the goal is to get you in a position where in 3 months' time, you're going to be able to transition your side hustle to an actual full-time online business and ultimately quit your job, right? That's your goal. So if that sounds good to you, then for this round, what we're doing is not only am I going to help you design your launch, right, one-on-one, but I'm also going to give you every single thing that our higher level one-on-one clients get, which is every single thing to do when you're not launching, including all the inbound lead generation tactics. And so part of why I'm only opening this up to 5 people is because this isn't one of those things where it's a group program and we just plug you in Kajabi and we have a Facebook group call with 100 people and say, good luck. If you don't show up, if you don't get results, it's your fault. It's time consuming on our end, right? So my team of client success directors and I, for you to get the most out of this, we do things like review your sales calls one-on-one. We read through your content, we do your launch with you, because that's just what you need to get results, right? So that's why I'm only taking on 5 people. But if you want to know what it looks like to actually implement this in your business and what the next steps look like, then make sure you shoot me a message with the word info. And what we'll do is we will set up a short call, which is going to be around 15 minutes with our client success coach. And we'll just gather some initial information on what you're currently doing, what's not working, your goals, things like that. Based on the information that you give us on the first call, I'm then going to take that and come up with a custom game plan within 24 hours with the team. And then the second thing that we'll do is get on a longer 45-minute call where we show you the exact game plan and then go from there. So if you want to know more of what this looks like, then shoot me a message, shoot me a DM saying info, and we will go from there. But other than that, hope you guys found this helpful. I will see you guys next Wednesday.